What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Ballion, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Knicks' 6-game defeat of the defending world champion Boston Celtics. This was a series where nobody gave the Knicks a chance, but the Knicks took it personally and beat the Celtics, and now they're headed to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Got the wall. He jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
All right, getting into the episode, and let me just say this. This is going to be the first time I will ever watch the New York Knicks play in an Eastern Conference Finals. I just turned 16 this past week, and I've never seen one. This is greatness. Nobody gave the New York Knicks a chance. Every single ESPN analyst chose the Celtics. Heck, even I chose the Celtics to win in 6 games. But the New York Knicks came out, and they took games 1 and 2 in shocking fashion. 2 20-point comebacks. And then they come back to the Garden and they lose game 3. All right, they got blown out of the water. The Celtics shot the lights out of the gym. It's whatever. That was a layup to be a loss for the Knicks. They weren't going to sweep anyway. Then in game 4, the night I was in the building, they have one of their greatest home wins in recent memory. That game, I cannot even begin to describe the energy, the emotions, the passion that was flooding through Madison Square Garden and after the game onto 7th Ave and 34th Street. Knicks fans shut down 7th Ave. It was pure electricity out in Midtown. And then you go out to Boston in game 5. No Jason Tatum for the Celtics, and you get blown out. Not a very encouraging sign, but it happened. It's okay. You have margin for error. You have the ability to lose a game when you go up 3-1. That's the beauty of taking that 3-1 series lead. But then you go back to the Garden for game 6. In a game I said you absolutely had to have. And the New York Knicks delivered. They finally got off to a hot start. They jumped out to a 6-point lead after the first quarter, and then in the second quarter, it ballooned all the way up to a 27-point lead. Let's go Knicks. It's orange and blue skies, baby. Go New York, go New York, go. They're going all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, let me say this. That's just the Eastern Conference Finals. All you've done is win 8 games. You gotta win another 8 games. The job is not remotely close to being finished. And I'll have an episode previewing the Knicks and Pacers series coming out early next week. It's going to be either on Monday or Tuesday. Stay tuned to all my socials. I'll have updates posted over there. You can find links to all of them in the description below. But let's just get right into Game 6. I set the scene already. Game 6. A 30-plus point victory. The Knicks win by 38 points. The huge second quarter is where it happened. I mean, they increased their lead by 21 points. That's just one of those quarters where it's like, you know the Celtics can turn it on and just start hitting shots and dominating for a quarter like that. People doubted the Knicks' ability to do that. And what started it was the end of the first quarter. Because in the end of the first quarter, the Knicks went on one of those 8-0, 9-0 runs in the last minute and a half of the quarter, where the Celtics had been doing that previously. That was what the Celtics had been doing. This time, it was the Bockers jumping out to that lead and the Bockers ending the first quarter on a high note. And then they didn't get satisfied with that lead. They didn't say, all right, we'll just get it to the fourth quarter at like a 6-point lead. They can come back. We'll go on a run. This and that. It'll go back and forth, whatever. No, they said, let's end this early and let's have a party in the Garden in the second half. And they put their foot on the gas. They stomped on the throats of the Celtics and they ended it. What a win. But honestly, it was a little anticlimactic. Like, I'm happy it was a low-stress victory and we got that party in the Garden. But I would have liked it to be a 10 to 15-point win rather than a 36-point win. I feel like that would, it was a 38-point win rather. I feel like that would have been more energy. The celebration that I saw in 7th Ave was still just obnoxious. It was insane. I've never seen anything like that. You had Knicks fans climbing telephone poles. The Knicks have never been good enough for people to do that. The NYPD had to call for backup for crowd management. That's what Knicks fans do. And I'm not saying that's a good thing that the police need backup. I'm just saying that Knicks fans are so crazy that the police had to call for level 4 backup to handle a celebration where the Knicks haven't accomplished anything yet. What if they win the Eastern Conference Finals? I'm not going to touch the money. I'm not going to say they are yet. I think the Pacers are going to be a problem. I'm just saying, in a completely theoretical world, what is this celebration going to be like if the Knicks advance to the NBA Finals for the first time since the 1999 to 2000 season? For the first time since they were the 8th seed, and that team with Allen Houston and Latrell Sprewell. Patrick Ewing was not in his prime anymore, but he was still serviceable. I think he was still on that team. Obviously, I wasn't alive to see it. This is the first time in my life I'll see an Eastern Conference Finals. This is pure electricity. And let's get into it. Let's get into some more the in the weed stuff. And let's start with a bench player and a guy that I had disrespected coming into this series, Deuce. Miles Deuce McBride, he's back to being Deuce. He clinched his nickname coming back with that Game 6 performance. 32 minutes for the West Virginia product. Only 10 points on 4 for 7 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3. But he outplayed his stat line greatly. That chase down block he had on Derek White at the end of the second quarter, that's a huge play in that game. That's a pivotal play. I think at that point, it was still a game. The Knicks hadn't completely ran away with it. And even it was still a game heading into the locker room. I know it was a 27-point deficit for Boston, but I was still worried that they were just going to flip a switch and all of a sudden they were going to hit down every 3-point shot they took. But no, that didn't happen. I was very pleased by that. And the Knicks just ran away with it. I mean, they were up by nearly 40 points entering the fourth quarter. The Celtics barely even cracked 6. I don't think they were in the 60-point mark entering the fourth quarter. And the 3-point shooting was horrendous for both teams. And if you're a Celtics fan, the Knicks beat you fair and square. I know the Knicks had to beat the Celtics one time when they were without Jason Tatum, but the nail was in the coffin when they went up 3-1. The Celtics were out of game 4. That game was done when Jason Tatum went down with an injury. So Celtics fans cannot use the excuse that they were an injury-riddled team. Yeah, you can get on Kristaps Porzingis for being absolutely terrible, unplayable, but you also had Luke Kornet who stepped up in some big-time moments in this series. Luke Kornet was absolutely massive for the Celtics in Game 5. Him and Derek White single-handedly won that game. The Knicks beat the Celtics, and there's no excuse for the Celtic fan. All right, let me get back to what I was saying. And moving on to Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns just had his best playoff game as a member of the New York Knicks. This is a guy who's played in the Western Conference Finals recently. He did it just last year with the T-Wolves. And a quick side note, how much of a win-win trade is that for the Knicks and Timberwolves? The Knicks are in the conference finals and the Wolves are in the conference finals. And just saying, preseason, I predicted a Knicks versus Timberwolves conference finals matchup. It's going to be tough for both teams to do dude. I think the Knicks have a better shot than the Timberwolves. However, the Timberwolves matchup isn't even set. So they do look solid. Julius Randle is completely rewriting his playoff career reputation. Like, what he did as a Knick in the playoffs was not the answer. It was not the move. And the Knicks had to move on from him. I don't think they were ever winning an NBA Finals with him. And good for him. He went to Minnesota and he's balling out. Karl-Anthony Towns, well, he hasn't been the greatest player. He hasn't been everything the Knicks are looking for. He's been good enough to the point where the Knicks are advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. That was Karl-Anthony Towns' best playoff game as a Knick. I think it's probably close. You can argue there's a couple other better games. I'm trying to think. He had a good start to Game 3 in the Pistons series, which is the other one I would look at. But other than that, he really hasn't been all too good. And there are still things that Karl-Anthony Towns needs to clean up before the Knicks head into the Eastern Conference Finals. First, he has to stop fading away. This man is 7 foot, 240 pounds. How are you getting bodied by Kristaps Porzingis? I mean, the dude is a toothpick. You gotta bang in the paint. You gotta go up strong. Get up. I know he's not an athlete. He doesn't have the athleticism to dunk, but try to throw one down. I mean, do anything but fade away. Because when he does take the ball up strong, he has a soft touch up around the rim. And fading away, it shows that he has that soft touch, but if he just went up strong, he would be able to use that finesse around the rim so much more. And staying on the topic of finesse, I mean, the Knicks have had a good matchup in each of their series to prepare them for the Eastern Conference Finals. You look at the Pistons series, it was a lot of banging, it was old-fashioned, it was a 90s-esque series where there was so much physicality. And then you look at the Celtics series where it was a lot of ticky-tack fouls, and it was more of a finesse-oriented series. Where I think the Pacers series is going to be a combination of both. I don't want to get into the Pacers series too much, and this is something I'll talk about more in depth in the episode I released previewing the Pacers series, but it's going to be a lot of finesse, it's going to be athleticism, but there's also going to be the toughness brought to the table by Benedict Mathurin and Aaron Nesmith. So, also, one more thing. I've been talking a lot of Knicks. I realize I haven't done an episode talking about the Mets or baseball or football in about 3 weeks. This is Vintage Sports Pod right here. If you look back at my content from, it would have been 2023. It would have been the 2022 to 2023 season when Jalen Brunson was first a Knick, his first year as a member of the Knicks. I think every episode from maybe December to March was talking about the Knicks. Maybe there was a break in 1 or 2 episodes. This is Vintage Sports Pod content right here, though. It's all about the Knicks, baby. Orange and blue skies. I'm loving this. I'll have a Mets episode coming out soon enough. I'm kind of just waiting for this playoff series to end, playoff run to end for the Knicks. I've been having too much fun talking about the Knicks to talk about the Mets, the Subway Series. Maybe I'll do an episode on Monday, talk about the Subway Series, and then Tuesday I'll preview the Pacers series. But again, you just got to stay tuned. I post updates on my Instagram. All the links are in the description below. But getting back to Karl-Anthony Towns, this is what he needs to clean up. He needs to get in the paint more. He needs to bang bodies. There was a play in the second quarter of that game where Deuce McBride went up and grabbed a rebound he shouldn't have for him being a 6'2" guard. He grabbed that rebound and he kicked it out to Karl-Anthony Towns, the 7-footer who was waiting on the wing, and he put up a 3. I think he did make the 3, so it's okay. But if you look at what the Pat Ewing, Anthony Mason, Charles Oakley Knicks were, they would scoff at that. They would spit on the shoes of Karl-Anthony Towns. That just goes against their whole culture. That should be John Starks waiting on the wing. That should be Deuce McBride, Ron Harper, all the old guards for the Knicks, Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston. Those are the guys that should be waiting on the wing, not the 7-foot center. So that's what Karl-Anthony Towns has to clean up, and I think Mitchell Robinson helps that a lot because Mitch is the guy that is in the paint, and yeah, well, yes, having 2 7-footers in the paint is nice, having Twin Towers is nice. you really only need one of those guys, especially when it's Mitchell Robinson, who is one of the best rebounders across the NBA. So Cat, good playoff from him. A playoff game from him. He looked decisive, aggressive. He's just got to get in the lane more. And yeah, he can take three-pointers. I think he made 3 in the entirety of the Celtics series. He took some bad shots. He loves pulling up from way downtown early in the shot clock, like the Knicks are down 3 with 5 seconds left in the game. He's just got to be better at driving hard, kicking it out, because you got guys like OG and McHale in the corner who are solid three-point shooters and are waiting to make those shots. Those are the shots that the Knicks are paying OG Anunoby to make, and they traded 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges to make. All right, let's get to Tom Thibodeau, the initiator, the guy who sets the lineups and tells his team what to do. So I think some of that blame that I'm giving to Cat has to fall on Tom Thibodeau, because Tibbs should be telling Cat to drive more, to stop fading away. But it's okay. Tom Thibodeau, people were calling for his job before the Celtics and Knicks series. Everyone was taking the Celtics. They were saying they would be happy with Tibbs if the Knicks took 1 game or if they took 2 games. Well, Tom Thibodeau said, F that, we're winning 4, and we're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm coming back to the Knicks. My job isn't in jeopardy. I'm going to coach myself back into coming back next year. The one thing I'll say about Tom Thibodeau is that he's got to be more consistent. Like, he saw what worked in games 1 and 2 of this series in the third and fourth quarter, where the Knicks came back from down 20 points in each of those contests, and then he decided to switch to drop coverage for game 3. Just stay consistent with what works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Tom Thibodeau is one of the better coaches in the NBA, I would say. I would say he's probably somewhere from 7 to 15, so that's a pretty wide margin, but I would be okay if you slide him in anywhere there. The one thing I would have been okay firing Tibbs for, if they lost either the Pistons or Celtics series and Michael Malone was guaranteed to come to the Knicks. I think Malone grew up in Queens, which would have increased the Knicks' chances of getting him. But it doesn't matter, because Tibbs is coming back. There's a 99% chance of that happening now. The other thing I'll say is that he left everyone in for way too long last night. The Knicks won by 38 points, and Josh Hart and OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges were out there till there was like 4 minutes left in this game. Come on, Tibbs. That's the perfect scenario for OG to tweak his ankle, for Mikal to pull a hamstring, for Josh to injure his oblique like he did last postseason. You got to get everyone out. The Celtics have nothing to play for, and they pulled everyone at the start of the fourth quarter. Why were the Knicks starters still in this ball game? Come on, man. We just got to be better with that. Otherwise, I thought it was a really good series from Tibbs, and he'll for sure be coming back next year. 2 more players that I want to hit on before I talk about some more general stuff. Jalen Brunson, El Capitan. I liked a lot of what I saw from Jalen Brunson in Game 6. While, yes, he didn't score the most points. I think he had either 22 or 23. Nobody on the Knicks had 25 plus. However, everyone was in double figures, plus one person from the bench. That was Deuce McBride, who had 10. Jalen Brunson played carefree. He played loose, like there was no tension. And it helps that the Knicks were up 30 for the majority of this game. But he played like he didn't care. He played like every shot was going to go in. And that's what I love to see out of Jalen Brunson. He was uber efficient in this one. I like it a lot. Jalen Brunson, I love what I saw out of Jalen Brunson in that performance. And I've liked what I've seen on the defensive side from him. He ratchets it up when it matters more. He tries to play defense. That's the thing I like Jalen Brunson for. He doesn't have the physical tools to be one of the best defenders in the NBA. Like, he's not that 6'7", 6'6" guy with elastic arms like Mikal Bridges is that can move the floor laterally. But he does get in front of his defender. He uses his body. He draws an incredible amount of offensive fouls for absolutely no reason. and he tries. That he puts the effort out there. That's what I love to see out of Jalen on the defensive side of the floor, and you know what you're going to get from the offense. And for Jalen Brunson, this is more than just leading a team to the Eastern Conference Finals. Jalen Brunson has been doubted since he was in high school. Jalen Brunson was the Big East Player of the Year back in 2018, and he was still selected in the second round. People said he's too small. People said he's not athletic enough. People said he wouldn't work with Luka. Well, yeah, he didn't work with Luka, but he's still an all-NBA talent. Jalen Brunson has done so much for the city of New York, and him leading the Bockers to the Eastern Conference Finals solidifies his role as the King of New York. It goes Jalen Brunson, Aaron Judge, Francisco Lindor. Those are the top three people. I don't think it's even close, and it's in that order too. I'm a Mets fan. Judge is the second king of New York. He rules his kingdom. That's the baseball kingdom. And Jalen is ruling the basketball landscape 100%. All right, let's get to Mikal Bridges. What a series from Mikal Bridges. The fourth quarters that Mikal displayed were incredulous for the Knicks. His defense in the fourth, first in game 2, in game 1, stealing the ball from Jaylen Brown, and then in game 2, teaming up with OG for that block on Jason Tatum, and then in game 4, the offensive performance he had. I think he had 12 points in the fourth quarter that night, that mid-range jumper where he's fading away across the middle of the lane. It's automatic at this point. That series made the 5 first-round picks worth it. The Knicks were built to beat the Celtics. They weren't built to beat the Pistons. They weren't built to beat any other team along the way. They were built to beat the Boston Celtics. And that's what they did. Mikal Bridges came out and he proved everyone wrong. There was so much doubt after he had a subpar regular season, after he wasn't the player Knicks fans hoped he would be. Mikal Bridges just turned it around for the playoffs. It's been great to see. I love it out of Mikal Bridges. I saw a stat that I think it was he has the most 20-point games without shooting free throws in the Knicks postseason history, probably for one playoff run or something. I don't remember the exact stat. I just remember seeing it on an ESPN post or something like that. I don't know how he doesn't shoot any free throws. Like, I get that he's just standing in the corner, but like when he comes across the lane, I feel like he should draw more fouls from it. And that's the other thing I'll say about Game 6. The officials wanted the Celtics to get back in that game so bad. They needed, the NBA needed them to call all those ticky-tack fouls. I think there were like possessions where it was like 3 offensive fouls on back-to-back-to-back possessions for the Knicks, where it's like, what are we doing? These are such terrible calls. There was the one Karl-Anthony Towns 3 where Drew Holiday jumped in front of him and their ankles made contact. It was an offensive foul called on Cat. It would have been a 3-pointer from about the logo, would have energized the MSG crowd, but it was waved off. Let's stay on the topic of Mikal Bridges. He's been good on both sides of the ball, and he's been everything the Knicks need. All right, to wrap up this episode, go New York, go New York, go! The Knicks are dancing to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years, for the first time in my lifetime. Boston sucks. It was always Knicks in 6. And the one person that I heard that predicted the Knicks winning in 6 games, WFAN's very own Tommy Lugauer. He says the Knicks have dudes, the Knicks have dogs, and they do damage. That's what happened. Knicks in 6. I love it, I love it, I love it. Let's go, Knicks. We got the Pacers next in the Eastern Conference Finals. This is what it's all about. It's Knicks fever in the city right now. Midtown is going to be rocking for the next week. Wednesday and Friday are games 1 and 2 against the Indiana Pacers. I'll have an episode coming out Monday or Tuesday previewing that series. But for now, make sure you check out all my socials linked in the description below. Leave me a voicemail at 848-305-8073 with your sports questions and takes. That's 848-305-8073. And last but not least, make sure you keep it locked with the Sports Pod.